Yo, what is up? What is happening? Clearing my throat. Don't worry, don't have the Rona. Hey, how's it going, man? How are you doing? Thanks for clicking the play button. This is Gut Instincts Podcast. I'm RJ. You already knew that, though, and we're back for another show. As I take a drink of my water, my agua, I hope you are having a phenomenal day. I hope your week was awesome, your 2 weeks, however long it was the last time we talked to each other. Or should I say, talked to each other. That being said, I've got a smoothie right here with me. It's like bananas and pineapples and yogurt and some green smoothie stuff, some greens, right, powder. And some orange juice. And lots of water. So I got that, and I'm sitting here watching a bird, a mockingbird specifically, mockingbird feed its little baby. And I just posted the little baby on Instagram, who I've deemed Fluffy Butt, because it's got a fluffy butt. So if you want to watch things like that, you can follow me on Instagram, on the gram, RJ Martins. That's RJAY. And of course, Martins. Pretty easy. And then if you get that stuff, you can get the red pills, and you can also kind of follow me in real time, IRT, right? Because I'll post usually my projects that I've been working on, specifically the house projects. That's right, people. Some DIY renovation going on. I'm doing the hallway, the walkway, the walls, the kitchen walls, the bathroom, and that's about it. I'm just trying to figure it out and do it in the right times, right? That being said, this episode is pretty easy. Oh, man. Wow. As I yawn, excuse me, I just had a couple chips. That's about it. Lunch. It's pretty much lunchtime, and I've been doing stuff all morning, so all I've got is this smoothie. But this episode is about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve. The vagus nerve? I mean, it's not spelt Vegas, so I'm about vagus. Could be vagus. Vagus or vagus, right? If an A isn't in the beginning of the word in English, who knows how to pronounce it? I don't, right? And English is my native language. Anyways, the vagus nerve is the longest nerve that runs down your spinal cord, right? So what is the vagus nerve? The vagus nerve is the longest of them. There are 12 cranial nerves, right? 12, rubbing my eyes. 12 cranial nerves. The vagus nerve is the longest of them, and some might say the most important. No matter what the issues are, your vagus nerve is critical to optimal health. Being the longest cranial nerve, the vagus nerve extends from the brain stem to the abdomen, passing through important organs like the heart, lungs, esophagus. The vagus nerve contains motor and sensory fibers. It has the widest distribution in the body. The nerve commands unconscious body procedures like maintaining your heart rate and controlling digestion. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. So, how do we get on vagus nerve? Basically, having Crohn's, which you guys already know this if you follow me, it's a bit of a mystery. Besides the uneducation or all the uneducated help that I get from doctors and surgeons and the mess of information that's online, people with intestinal diseases or autoimmune diseases in general are sort of on your own. Now, they have the TNF blockers, which we've already talked about before, and I would have gone on, but everything went down with the Cove and all this pandemic stuff, and here we are. I'm ready to just swear off any and all doctors at this point and ride this to the end, if you know what I mean. That being said, basically, one doctor at some point relatively recently, within the last year or two, after hearing one of my symptoms, which I've already shared on the show, but with Crohn's, it changes and it's all different and everyone's different in it, and it affects you differently. I can eat the same thing in 3 days and have a few different bathroom reactions. But regardless, it can either be okay and rarely semi-normal bathroom breaks to pretty painful gut feelings, perirectal issues like hemorrhoids and things of that nature that people are always affected by. One of the strange things that happens is like the feeling of having to throw up while you go to the bathroom. Now, how terrible is that? How terrible is that? You're trying to go to the bathroom to get relief, and you feel nauseous and just that feeling of having to throw up, or my eyes would water like dramatically, to the point where like it looks like I've been crying, and I'm just sitting there, So these involuntary sort of reactions that happen while I'm going to the bathroom. He said, have you ever looked into your vagus nerve, right? And the issue with being diagnosed when you're young, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yeah, people will say, okay, well, you have something, so we kind of can give you this or that, we kind of know what's going on. But the reality is, if it's a misdiagnosis, which happens all the time, you can end up going years, most of your life, with the wrong diagnosis, and you can actually do more harm than good. Right? So that's why I started on the low-carb diet. I just changed the way my food situation was going in hopes to see a difference in the gut. Did I see a difference? I guess. I've won a lot of battles. I've come a long way. Do I still feel like there's something going on in the gut? Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's just extremely interesting that the reactions that happen after eating certain foods, or when you don't for a long time and then you do, it's so dramatically different that I've lost the ability to figure out if something works with me as far as food is concerned. So welcome to that part of my life. Welcome to Gut Instincts Podcast. That's my little admission. No, it's not a guilty admission. It's just my little admission to the challenges that arise with having Crohn's disease. And of course, knowing that if you create your own reality, you're sort of whipping yourself into these situations. And the fact of the matter is like, as much as I believe that and know that you can change your world, your life with your mind and meditation and good foods and less stress, it's undeniable that something's going on in my gastrointestinal tract, and and I can no longer and will no longer inadvertently starve myself and create what I believe is an eating disorder, which I've had to claw myself out of, which I think I'm doing pretty good. Carbs are in my life now, but not as much as when I was taking high doses of prednisone, which is like, you just want to eat everything. You eat the paper right on your desk. Without all that, I've lost the urge to eat again. I've lost the hunger, and I'm back to sort of square one when it all comes down to it. And this is what I mean, even with eating low carb, high fats, and everything organic and making my own stuff. It was still extremely hard and a challenge for me to find the urge, the hunger urge, right? The urge to eat, which is disappointing to say the least. But hey, I wouldn't want it on any person, because I know how terrible it is. That being said, I think I say that too many times, so bear with me. We're gonna light this J that I already rolled up here, if you can hear it. Some lovely medicine here that helps with my gut, with my hunger, with my pain, and even with taking a break, it made me really really respect cannabis as a medicine, and what it can give me as far as relief is concerned, and what little the doctors do for us. And it's a little sad, so I'm gonna switch the record upside down. We're not gonna talk about the sad stuff. We're just gonna dive into this vagus nerve here, vagus nerve symptoms, how to detect damage and stimulate your vagus nerve. So the whole point is you need to stimulate this nerve. Oh, hold on. Let's do this. Light up your joint, pack your bowl, or don't. Welcome to the show. And we start Gut Instincts podcast with a delightful. It's tough to speak when the smoke is coming out. It's very irritative. Irritative. But anywho, starting the show with the sigh from Bella. She's looking at me like, oh, great, this guy again, doing another episode of Gut Instincts podcast. She's probably like, I wonder what this is about. Well, Bella, pull your hair back and pull up your pants and get ready for today's show about the vagus nerve. We already talked about what it is. Now, the issue, why it will be connected, is stimulation, right? Because these nerves need stimulation, and they need to be triggered to release what we talked about in the other shows, all the digestive enzymes that are inside our guts, right? Our esophagus. We already went through all of that. So if you're down for that, you can go check out that episode about digestive enzymes. But the amylase, the cellulase, the invertase, lactase, maltase, lipase. It's easy to understand it when you think of someone who's lactose intolerant. They cannot tolerate lactose. It doesn't digest correctly because their body is not producing the lactase enzyme. So you take the lactase enzyme, and it helps digest the food and make things move. Now, my issue is always is like in science and doctors and in the healthcare industry, we have there's this issue where we look at what's happening and how to adverse that effect that is happening, instead of saying and asking ourselves, well, why is it happening? There's must be a mechanism or a couple of mechanisms that are happening that triggers, for example, the body to not release the lactase enzymes, right? Have they looked into that? I'm not sure, because I'm not lactose intolerant. I've dove into other digestive issues, specifically Crohn's, obviously. So, but what's really interesting here is through the years, because of the such dramatic difference in going to the bathroom, once in a while I did wonder if there was some sort of other nerve damage going on, and this would actually explain it. So what is the vagus nerve disorder? Vagus nerve symptoms are closely related to vagus nerve damage and disorder. When your nerve is underactive, you might suffer from a condition known as gastroparesis. This condition can lead to severe complications like diabetes. There are several symptoms that are warning signs. If you notice some symptoms, it means you need to stimulate your vagus nerve. So if the nerve is not being stimulated, we are not getting the correct enzymes and other intestinal functions that are needed to digest food correctly, to absorb food correctly, and I don't know, to not be sick or have IBS. There are two types of vagus nerve symptoms. They are classified into two groups. First being the nerve is overactive. The second is when your nerve is inactive or underactive. The symptoms for the former develop as a result of overstimulated nerve, while the symptoms of the second result little to no stimulation. Okay, we get that, right? Often the problem is that the vagus nerve symptoms are very similar to IBS. Let's say that again. Often the problem is that vagus nerve symptoms are very similar to irritable bowel syndrome symptoms. And it makes it even harder for physicians to diagnose and conditions, since many of the conditions do not show up in regular tests unless they get really bad. And that's one of the issues that I have, is because I eat so, I take vitamins and I'm juicing green juices and I'm eating as healthy as I can. When doctors test you on all these, they have a laundry list of tests, and everything comes back normal, right? Or everything comes back regular. It's a challenge, because on paper you look okay, but then you almost seem like, sometimes they make it seem like you're lying, right? But it's just not the case. Who would want to make up not being comfortable going to the bathroom? But then again, I feel like my whole life, all I've dreamed about is going to the bathroom normal. So I don't really know what it's like to even not have that as an issue, right? Pain is the most common symptom. Pain manifests itself in terms of your damaged vagus nerve. The pain is a result in mechanical pressure, injury, or trauma that led to the swelling. In most cases, the pain is resulting in a pinched nerve. The pain you feel is flat and vague, non-consistent, sharp, with someone is stabbing you. I feel both of those pains all the time. Just depends on the day. As mentioned at the beginning, the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve, and it passes through multiple vital organs. When the nerve is damaged, these organs cannot receive the signals and information your body is sending due to the damaged nerve fibers. Muscle cramps, difficulty swallowing, fainting, peptic ulcers, gastroparesis, which we already talked about a little bit. How to treat the disorder. If you start experiencing any symptoms, I recommend you start treating your disorder. Many of the treatments are also good for prevention of damage to the vagus nerve. First and most common treatment is the vagus nerve stimulation, which is what I'm looking into now. When the damage is severe, you have to stimulate your vagus nerve with a device that's very similar to a cardiac pacemaker, at least in terms of activity. This device is implanted beneath your skin, but you can stimulate your vagus nerve even before the disorder gets serious. So, it's a little strange that a device is implanted under your skin. However, the positive results in conditions like anxiety, disorders, heart disease, OCD, migraines, obesity, bulimia, memory disorders, chronic heart failure, mood disorders, leaky gut, say that again, leaky gut, which is what we're looking into, bad blood circulation, Alzheimer's, and much more. Now, you're thinking to yourself, well, is there any other ways to stimulate the vagus nerve? Yeah. Yes, there is. Now, when you think about a nerve not being able to, or not correctly releasing or stimulating at the correct time, it's all energy, right? So this is why natural ways of healing does work. My question is does it go deeper, right? Because again, it's like, is this vagus nerve disorder, is that the end all be all, or is it connected to something else? So now the question is, how can you stimulate vagus nerve? Options include a cold shower, singing or chanting, meditation, yoga, positive social relationships, which ain't happening now because the pandemic, they're telling people to stay away from each other, which is just another way to lower your immune system, to make you weaker, to make you sadder, to lower your vibration, and it can actually mess with what we're talking about right here. Laughter, breathing exercises, fasting, massages, messages from your best friends. I'd added that one in there if you have a best friend. Breathing deeply and slowly. Tai Chi. Sleeping on your right side. What? How about on your left side? Interestingly enough, I love to sleep on my right side. Mostly sleep on my right side. Praying. Chewing gum. That's a little bit of a strange recommendation. I'm not gonna lie, I'm reading this right from here, and I didn't read it beforehand, and this is getting a little weird. Acupuncture, yeah, and tensing the stomach muscles. For sure, when I do muscle core workouts, I have better digestion. The issue is to keep up with core workouts is virtually impossible because you have to have your body to have breaks, right? You do it one day, you have 3 days off, you do another. Anybody who's actually into working out knows this. You have to do it. You have to have recovery period. So it's just, it's not the easiest. So, the issue resides is the supply of nutrients that goes into the body. And I've talked about this before, how I think going sugar-free and trying vegan and, and then of course I was gluten-free, and then, so it's like everything free, and I was like eating ice chips, and drinking bleach, drinking water. I'm making subtle jokes. If you haven't realized already, that's what I do. And you know, it makes me feel a little bit happier, because sometimes I am not the happiest person, even though some people think it. Just like many of you, we all have our you know, our days. We have our good days, our bad days. Now there's another right here. Is there a place for vagus nerve stimulation in IBS, inflammatory bowel diseases? The longest nerve is mixed 80% afferent and 20% efferent. If you know the difference between an afferent and efferent fiber, good for you. I don't. The VN has anti-inflammatory properties, in particular an anti-TNF-A effect through the cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway. So basically, I believe what that means is the vagus nerve is the one that produces, or you know, is focused on producing those TNF or anti-TNF. I get particularly, yeah. And of course, if you know the TNF blockers, like the biologics, that's what they do. They stop the TNF cells so they don't attack the intestines, right? Which causes inflammation, because that's the theory, is that these I don't know if it's an enzyme. I don't know what TNF is, if it's an enzyme, but they're released in the gut and they cause inflammation. The VN is a key component of the autonomic nervous system, i.e. the parasympathetic nervous system. An imbalance of the autonomic nervous system, as represented by a low vagal tone, is described in many diseases and has a pro-inflammatory role. IBD and chronic disorders like Crohn's, where TNF is key cytokine. VN stimulation, classically used for the treatment of drug-resistant epilepsy and depression, would be of interest in the treatment of IBD. We have recently reported in a 6-month follow-up that improved active Crohn's disease. Preliminary data of another pilot study confirmed this interest. Similarly, VNS has recently been reported to improve rheumatoid arthritis and other TNF-mediated disease. You know, my issue is what's happening to TNF that is causing our bodies to do this. I'd like somebody to look at the connections between the plasmids of the glyphosate protein, which is embedded into the GMO. It's put inside of bacteria, which is related to some pretty deadly bacteria. They put it in there, and then they embed it into the code of the GMO, the genetically modified plants. So my question is, like, is this all going back to the plasmids? Is this I mean, I know, how long have these issues been around, and is there a correlation between the increase of GMO plants and corn and that sort of thing, and people who were born at a certain time and given certain shots, right? Certain vaccine shots. Because remember, vaccines are also GMO. They have GMO components in them, which is basically they use the CRISPR technology to insert and export code into a genetic plasmid. So basically, we sort of gone through the vagus nerve symptoms and that sort of thing, what they're connected to. This is a nice one about Crohn's disease, and I'll read this one, and then we'll pretty much end it here. You know, because clearly we know that the nervous system is connected to Crohn's disease and other IBD, other intestinal issues. It's just pretty clear that they're connected, right? So, light this up. The vagus nerve, a link between the brain and the gut. We already went through all this. We know all this. So I'm going to skip forward. We thus performed a pilot study of chronic VNS in patients with active Crohn's disease. 7 patients under VNS were followed up for 6 months with a primary endpoint to induce clinical remission and a secondary endpoint to induce biological calprotectin, CRP, which is a marker. It's a biological marker in your poops that tell you if you're inflamed or not. And endoscopic remission and to restore vagal tone. So, of course, endoscopic remission is you need to go and get an endoscopy. They need to see that there's no inflammation in your lower gut, in the colon. Vagus nerve, which is like my main issue, to be honest. Vagus nerve stimulation was feasible and well tolerated in all patients. Among the 7 patients, 2 were removed from the study at 3 months for clinical worsening. So 2 out of the 7, which that's not bad. That's not bad at odds. 5 evolved towards clinical, biological, and endoscopic remission and a restored vagal tone. These results provide the first evidence that VNS is feasible and appears as an effective tool in the treatment of active Crohn's disease. And you know what's really cool is this was published in 2016. So that was only 4 years ago. All right, you guys, and that makes me feel good because of all the years that I do all these studies. I mean, I really started to look deep into it in 2014, 15, about 4 or 5 years ago. 2012 was kind of when I woke up to what was going on, and it took me like a year or two, 2013, 2014, before I started to really dive deep into it. But it was that time, that I did most of my diving deep into it. So as the years go by and I don't look at publications and I don't research more, it's just nice to see that these studies are being published. And of course, this is on PubMed. This is just I look right at the source, right? Don't go and look at a New York Times article. Fake news. Fake news will be fake news. You want to go directly to the studies. So this is published on PubMed.gov. The other one was published on Bioelectric Medicine, which is it's their own study, but it's a 2018 study, right? It's April. So it was just last year. So this is like they've been recently doing this. Now I'd rather not put anything under my skin, but if we could do it externally, I'm kind of down for that. And then, of course, there's this pretty cool Everyday Health article about tapping the nervous system to treat Crohn's, and that's pretty interesting as well. It's about a mom and her daughter with Crohn's disease, was having issues. Same exact time, diagnosed. It's actually the same story as me. Diagnosed when she was 10, below average height and weight. Bad stuff. So they ended up coming across a study about this. Insert a tiny electronic implant into the neck to stimulate the nerve. There's also brain stimulation through the skin via the ear with the TNS machine, which I already looked up. me get one of those. And it has they ordered a TNS machine, used it for 6 months for 15 minutes every night, and slowly her health began to improve. Several months later, she was off Remicade, which really jacked me up, growing and gaining weight. So that's a great story that was published in 2017, and it really is it's a light in a dark tunnel, right, y'all? Because if you don't know, when you have something like Crohn's or something is not really known, I guess, they tell you we don't know, or this is all we got, or we don't have anything for you, and then you're able to go home and see actual studies. It feels great, but it's also debilitating in the sense that now you just have to find a doctor who's willing to try these modalities of healing. And unfortunately, that is legitimately the hardest part about doing this, is getting a doctor to agree to do it, whether it's prescribing me something like LDN, low-dose naltrexone, which I still have yet to find a doctor willing to give me that, or the trifecta of antibiotics that they use for the MAP protein, or the MAP bacteria, or this right here. So I have 3 different areas of healing that I want to try out, and no doctor that I've found so far will give me even the option, right? I get shot down completely, and they only want to give me TNF blockers, the biologics. Oh, those lovely medicines you hear on television that have a laundry list of side effects, including, but not limited to, death. Right. Anyways, that's it for today, y'all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for supporting Gun Instincts Podcast. I really should blow out the smoke before I speak. I just don't want too much dead air. But I won't cough if I do that. So, I thank you again. Love you long time. I hope you have a amazing week and day, whatever. I'm going to go back to looking at the TENS machine, which is interesting. I know we can use energy, vibration, and I know there's ways to heal. It's just hard when you're alone and when the doctors seem to be against you. That being said, pray for me. Pray for, not to get political, our president and everybody who is fighting to drain the swamp and clear up the evil dark forces that have been corrupting not only the U.S. economy, but our healthcare industry, as well as politics, and of course schooling as well. So the tentacles run deep, but we can do our best by learning. Knowledge is power. Nothing else, I believe, is stronger than knowing, than your mind. So you got it. You got the internet. Do some research and do what you got to do. I hope you're staying safe in these crazy times. If you listened to my last episode, we went a little bit deep into what's going on with this whole virus thing. I'm not going to go over it again. I don't care to go over it. We're going to move on Gun Instincts Podcast, as we usually always do. I don't really like even touching on subjects that we've already talked about. To me, it gets a little boring and it gets repetitive. And the last thing I want to do is be repetitive. So yeah, I hope you're digging the show so far. I'm gonna get back to my DIY stuff. If you like that stuff or you want to reach out, like I said, hit me up on Instagram, gunsonspodcast.com. You check out the recipes and do all that jazz. I don't have to tell you every time, right? Do I? Do I? I don't know. Anyways, I found an old memory card, and it's got some, oh man, it's got some gold on it. Not like gold we can save, sell, whatever. But just like, where's my mouse? You know when you lose your mouse? Where'd it go? It's running away. There it is. Yeah, it looks like I got an old SD card from my other camera, and it's pretty great. Maybe I'll edit one of these and get it up just so you can laugh. So we can laugh. Look at that. It's got all my original videos on there too. I posted a video, I don't know if you saw it on YouTube, about Antarctica. I'm pretty sure there are hidden cities of Antarctica. It actually sounds like a series show that I would watch if I had the ability. I would make it for y'all. Let's go and storm Antarctica. Just kidding. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm good. I'm good. You go, but take a camera. Take a camera and then let me know. I mean, or maybe I'll visit. Or maybe I'll go for like the first week or something. I don't know. I just, I'm not going to bring that. Is Bella going to come? I'm not going to leave her here. All right. That's enough. That's enough for today's show. Thanks for learning about the vagus nerve, the vagus nerve, the vega nerve. I don't know. I don't know. Why are there different sounds for the A when it's in the middle of a word is beyond me. So if English is your second language, guess what? I'm right there with you. It's confusing. It makey no sensey. And that's it. That's it for the vagus nerve today. Wish me luck. I'm gonna go hook up electrodes to my mind now. So if I come back, and yeah, just pray for me. All right, peace, guys.